Hi there, you're just in time. Welcome for joining me at the Performance Cafe. I hope that you've had a great week so far. It's real chilly here in South Africa, so it's good to be back behind the mugs of warm coffee and hot chocolate. So today I want to talk to you again about productive kindness and a very interesting thing that happened to me a couple of weeks ago. My niece and I suppose he's my nephew-in-law to be, came to visit me for a couple of days, and it was lovely to have them here. So I live alone, and there's a particular rhythm and structure that I run my day to, especially considering I work for myself. So I'm pretty good at setting up these things for myself and keeping them going. And I'm really the kind of person that, although I'm not necessarily excessively disciplined and consistent, there are a couple of things that need to get done or else my world falls apart. And one of these things is eating first thing in the morning, and I eat really early. I wake up on starving, and I got up and I went to the kitchen and put on the kettle and started making something to eat. And my niece and nephew-in-law to be, I can't wait for them to get married, so I don't have to say that too much, came and joined me in the kitchen. And all of a sudden there was this thing of, I'm going to make breakfast for everyone. But of course, what they eat doesn't match what I eat, and the way they make their coffee does not match the way I make my coffee. And I actually found myself going into this state, because what I want to do is first finish mine, and then I can set it aside because then I know it's done, and then I can pick up on theirs and I can muddle through. And I thought, gee, you're making breakfast. It's not a complicated thing. It was a bunch of cereals, And I just in that moment realized how ingrained some of my habits are, how ingrained some of my thinking is, and how I really deal with things, like according to this particular recipe. And of course, they laughed it off because they just thought I was being really silly. And we had a lovely breakfast afterwards. But it got me to thinking, how many other times in life do we do the same thing? Where there's something that we do in such a particular fashion, in such a rigid way, that, we never question it and we never sort of notice. We get irritated when people upset it, but we don't realize that this is what we're holding on to. Now, if any of those of you who follow me on Coffee Companions for our Performance Cafe, if ever you've seen the video with Veronica Kitzman-Kronier, it's a very good one to watch. Veronica is absolutely phenomenal. She's the world's most amazing facilitator, coach, trainer. She happens to be executive director of an NGO. And one day we were talking about how we get stuck in our habits and how we just do things for the sake of doing it always the same way and never really asking a question. And she told me a story about this woman who, whenever she made a lamb roast, would cut a piece off the top. Someone said to her, why do you do that? And she said, well, I don't know. My mom does it that way. And she went to her mom, and her mom said, well, I don't know. My mom does it that way. And she went and she asked her mom, and her mom said, oh, it's just because I got that from your great-grandmother. She actually didn't have a pan that was big enough to fit the whole roast. So she had to cut off a piece in order to fit it all in. And, that's how things happen. We get so into this more of doing things the same way. We don't ever question it. We don't ever ask where it comes from. We don't ever ask, does it serve us and does it serve others? And so today I was thinking that maybe that's another way of looking at productive kindness is, what do I do? Is it kind towards others? If it's not, it probably is because we've got some form of process, procedure, system, rule attached to it, or that we view as dependent on it. And maybe to go and take a look at those things and reframe them and find out, are there any places where we're cutting the roast that we don't need to? And specifically in a way that could prove to be kind to others and maybe allow them some wiggle room. Because that's the other thing about it, right? Is that the moment that we have these rigid structures and rules in place, and I'm not saying we shouldn't have anything, but it's good to every once in a while go and sit down and reflect and go, what does this cause? How do other people feel about this thing that I keep doing, that my team keeps doing? How does the team feel about it? maybe they feel that they'd like to rejig and try something new. And so whether you are saving someone from the impact of COVID in your office, or whether you're just trying to reinvigorate and remotivate your team, or whether you're just doing some self-reflection, I hope that you will take this piece of advice and go and sort of just poke at some of those habits that you have and see whether they are actually contributing and whether they are worthwhile to keep. And so that's all from me today. Short and sweet, as it's a solo. I look forward to our Friday Coffee Companions. It's going to be with Pam White, who has been one of my coaches in the past couple of years. She is an Enneagram lady of note, and we're going to find out from her what the Enneagram's about and how she uses it with her clients to create some positive effect, and also maybe to poke at some of those disciplines and see where they come from. So if you are following us on YouTube, thank you so much. Please like, and then also pop the notification button, put on that little bell so that you know when the next one is coming your way. If you are looking at us from LinkedIn and Facebook, thank you for joining us there. Please like, comment, and share, and then go to YouTube and subscribe. I look forward to seeing you on Friday.